Bhaja Govindam, verse 17. Knowledge of self is different from knowledge of the world. Kurute Gangasagara gamanam Vrataparipalanam athava Danam Jnanavihinah Sarvama tena Muktim na Bhajati janmas Shatena. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. One may go to Gangasagar, observe fasts, and give away riches in charity. Yet, devoid of jnana, nothing can give mukti, even at the end of 100 births. Seek Govinda, seek Govinda, O foolish mind. Let's listen to a story based on this verse. Prabhulinga, the founder of Lingayat sect, now mostly prevalent in Karnataka state, was touring the land for the uplift of spiritually minded. He met the famous yogi Gorakhnath in Gokarna, a famous place of Hindu pilgrimage on the west coast of India. The yogi welcomed him respectfully, though was however proudly conscious of his own extraordinary powers over the elements. He considered his guest more or less his equal, expressed pleasure at meeting him, and upon greeting him asked who he was. Prabhulinga replied that only the one who had destroyed his ego, root and branch, and had thereby realized himself could know who he was, and wondered what he could say to a non-entity, a person who clung to his perishable body. Gorakhnath, who identified his body as himself, replied, "That person who has gained the immortality of the body by the favor of Shiva and consumption of gulikas, that is, the medicinal herbs, will never die. Therefore, one who has not gained such immortality dies." Prabhulinga remarked that knowledge consists in realizing one's self and not in immortalizing the body, and went on to explain at length that the body cannot be the real self. However, Gorakhnath could not be persuaded and would not budge an inch from his ground. He proudly challenged Prabhulinga to try cutting his body, handing him a long, bright and sharp sword. When the sword struck the body of Gorakhnath, it caused him no injury, but was itself blunted. Prabhulinga feigned surprise and asked Gorakhnath to try cutting his body. At first, Gorakhnath hesitated to do so, saying that Prabhulinga would die. But when Prabhulinga insisted, he took up the sword and tried to cut his body. To the great surprise of Gorakhnath, the sword passed easily through the body of Prabhulinga without affecting it in any way. It was as if the sword were passing through empty space. Only then was Gorakhnath, the Siddha, ready to acknowledge the superiority of Prabhulinga, the Jnana. Thus, his pride was humbled and he prayed to Prabhulinga to teach him the truth. Prabhulinga then expounded Brahma Vidya to Gorakhnath as follows. Gorakhnath, do not think your body to be yourself. Seek the indweller, and you will once and for all rid yourself of the disease of birth and death. The cave is your heart only. The indweller, therefore, is called God, and I am that. The Vedas have two portions, the ritualistic, that is Karma Kanda, and the knowledge portion, that is Jnana Kanda. All ritualistic portions unfold discipline, but that is not to be taken as be-all and end-all of the total understanding. When rituals are not backed with understanding and knowledge, they become futile. There is an essential practice and a secondary practice. The secondary practice, like rituals, equip one with discipline, faith, patience, and detachment, which are essential for the purification of mind. But the real essential practice is true wisdom. True knowledge is the knowledge of the self. Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarna, that is the ego, covers and projects the unreal into which we are dragged. Unless we come out of it, we cannot realize the self. Now let's listen to a story for the students. There was a master, and he had a student. Neither had the disciple ever seen a cow, nor had he tasted its milk. But he had read that cow's milk was very nutritious. So, was very curious to see the cow and taste its milk. He approached his master and asked, "Do you know anything about the cows?" "Yes," replied the master. "Then could you please explain how a cow looks like?" the disciple requested. The master explained, "A cow has 4 legs. It does not live in the forest. It's a domestic animal. One can find it in the villages. It gives milk, a liquid white in color, which is good for health." His master gave him a lot more information on the features of the cow: the eyes, ears, legs, stomach, udder, horns, etc. The disciple went to a village where he saw a statue of a cow. Someone who was painting an adjacent compound wall with chalk had left a bucket full of lime water near the statue of the cow. The disciple saw the cow, carefully observed its features, came to a conclusion that it must be the cow. He also saw a bucket with white liquid nearby. "This is definitely a cow, so this must be the milk," thought the disciple, and drank some of it. He soon started screaming with pain and had to be hospitalized. His master visited him in the hospital and asked, "What happened?" "Master, you don't know anything about the cows or the milk. You are totally wrong," the disciple answered. "Tell me what happened." The master sought an explanation. The disciple explained everything. "Did you milk the cow yourself?" asked the guru. "No." "That's why you are in trouble. If you rely on what others say, you won't get to the truth, which will liberate you," the wise master replied. One has to experience and not merely learn and follow others blindly. Experience is the best teacher for acquiring material as well as spiritual knowledge. Students gain a lot of bookish knowledge from school. They pass the examinations with good grades. Many of them gain this, but only some of them are able to practically apply what they learn. It's very important to experience and do hands-on work to actually understand how the knowledge that we have received works. Just by describing the fruit mango as a lovely golden yellow fruit which tastes sweeter than honey and with a wonderful fragrance will not help the person who hasn't eaten it. The experience of this delicious fruit can be had only when one eats it. Similarly, just by reading and knowing all values without practicing them will not help. When those acts of love, compassion and kindness are practiced in society and is used to help someone in need, the joy and happiness derived from that service is immeasurable. That is one of the examples of true joy. When we constantly engage in purifying our minds and hearts through good thoughts, words and deeds, we will one day be able to start understanding our true nature, which is Sat Chit Ananda, truth, consciousness and bliss. Jai Sai Ram.